Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Tolu. It is another wonderful time to be shooting this wonderful episode of Tolu Cooking with Tolu. I'm so excited to be in the kitchen because I'm making something yummy-licious, something that is very, very nice. If you like something that draws and make your fufu or your amala heba pounded yam slide down easily, this is the soup for you. I gave it away. It's a soup. It's one of the famous soup in Nigeria. So I am making Ogbono soup. And Ogbono soup is a very slimy kind of soup, and this soup goes with all kind of starch dishes. You can actually have ogbono with pounded yam, with eba, hamala, semolina, tuwo. The list goes on. It all comes down to your preference to have it with. Tonight we're gonna be having ogbono soup with semolina. So without taking too much of time, let me introduce you to the ingredients we're gonna be using for this ogbono soup. For this ogbono dish today, we got the first thing definitely that we're gonna be using for this ogbono is ogbono. This is we actually bought the ogbono seed and blended this up. It looks kind of lumpy, if you see it, but by the time we put the palm oil, it's gonna break out and it's gonna smooth all the way out. So definitely the star of the dish is ogbono. This is the ogbono. And for the obstacles and the proteins, we have some Shaki, right? We're gonna be putting some goat meat, and this goat meat is already cooked and seasoned. I use some beef bouillon, some salt, a little bit of curry, thyme to season this. So just season to taste, because I will not be putting a lot of seasoning in the ogbono soup because a whole lot of the local flavor needs to play together. So then for this, I'm gonna be using some dry fish. This is already washed and it is ready to go. Then I'm gonna be putting in some shrimps. This is red shrimps, dry shrimps. I'm gonna be putting some of that. Is washed, is ready to go. And of course, cow skin, Mpomo. We're gonna be putting some of that in it. We gotta have different things working together. That's our protein. And for the seasoning of the soup, we're gonna put in some Dawadawa locust beans. In my language, we call it iru, for the local flavor in it. And in here I have some dry bitter leaf. I like to put bitter leaf in my own ogbono soup. You can skip it if you don't want to put bitter leaf. You don't have to. Even if you don't want to put dawadawa, you don't have to. It all comes down to preference. So I like to put bitter leaf. This bitter leaf was actually picked and washed by my mom and dried. So all I have to do is soak it in some hot water and make sure that I clean it and ready to use. And in this bowl I have some grounded crayfish that is going to be going in this dish. Then for seasoning, salt and pepper. Oh, sorry, did I say salt and pepper, guys? I meant Maggi Bouillon and salt. That's all we use in that aspect. So now coming to this back, I have some spinach. Now for ogbono, people use different kind of vegetables in their ogbono. Some people like to use ugu, pumpkin leaf. Some people like to use uziza leaf. Some people like to use spinach. Some people will put some kale. You can always go to vegetable of your choice, but today I'll be using some spinach. And this is chopped, cleaned, ready to go. In here I have palm oil. There is no ogbono soup without palm oil. And in here I have my beef stock. This is the broth that I got out of the goat meat when I was, actually it's goat meat stock, the goat meat when I was cooking it. So I have the stock there. It's not a lot because I don't like to put too much liquid when I'm boiling my meat. Then in this bowl, I have some blended pepper. Let me show you what I have in there. I have my bell pepper, and my onions and my habanero. So 2 habanero, 2 bell pepper, and 1 onions. I blended it up with about 3 cups of water. That's why it looked so much. It's not a lot of pepper in there. It's just the liquid, because that's majorly most of the liquid I'm going to be using. And if I feel like my ogbono is too thick, then I will add some more water to it. But since I'm not frying the stew, I like to blend the sauce, my pepper for the ogbono, with a lot of water. And at the same time, some people like to chop it up. If you want to chop up your peppers, you can do that. You can chop it up and put it in. I do not like to see any peppers in my ogbono. I want my ogbono smoked. The only thing I like to see as texture in my ogbono is the obstacles protein and the Dawadawa and my leaves. So this is Tolu Cook, and let the fun begin.
Tell me who you know, who cooks it better. Tell me who you know.
Okay, my people, the first thing we're gonna do is we need to wash our hands and start getting all the soup going. Okay. Guys, in this bowl, I have 2 cups of ogbono blended. If you have big lumps like this in your ogbono, you can, if you have a mortar and a pestle, or even if you have oluata, I'm sure some people understand what that is. You can put it in a small bag and you go over it, and all you have to do is just use that to break it down. And even if you don't have that, by the time I mix in the palm oil is gonna go right into it. You can see I don't have to get it into a very fine powder. This is just to help me speed up the process. So that is good enough, and this little ones is okay. Everything is gonna smooth over, you'll see. Right here is my ogbono. I got all the big lumps out. In this cup I have about 2 cups of palm oil, but I'm not using the whole thing, so I'm just gonna use like half of it. I'm cooking a lot of ogbono. So, and what you want to do is you want to mix it in well. You want it to soak in. You want the ogbono to soak in the oil. And there are other styles and ways of cooking ogbono. Some people put their pot on the stove and put the palm oil first and just let it kind of warm up. Then they will add in the ogbono and start cooking from their ends. They just cook from the bottom up. I like to do mine this way. I can also cook it that way. Maybe I'll do another video in the future showing you the way to cook it that way. But this is the way my mama taught me how to cook ogbono. So you just want to mix in well. You see that? And it's well mixed. And we're gonna let that sit on the side while we go to the stove. In a clean pot, I like to just put in about 1 spoon of oil just to start, nothing much, and we'll let that thin out a little bit. Okay, so we put in 1 spoon of palm oil. Then I'm gonna put in my locust beans, and I'm just gonna let this do for like a minute because I want it to release the flavor into the oil. One thing you should know for sure is this ogbono is gonna draw, it's gonna bubble, and it's not gonna get lost in flavor. It's rich and it is very, very flavorful. So you see that? That's already going. So I have my bell pepper, habanero pepper, and onion pepper right in this bowl with water already blended up. So I'm just gonna add that in. And I'm just gonna let it mix well. I don't need to take time. And this is the broth that came out of the goat meat. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in that broth now, because that broth is loaded with flavor. The seasoning is amazing. Like I said, I use the pressure cooker to cook the goat meat, so the meat is already cooked. I did the same thing with the cow skin and with the Shaki, the tripe. I used the pressure cooker, so it cooked well. But for the cow skin and the tripe, I only use salt to season it. But for the goat meat, I put in some Maggi, some salt, a little bit of curry, thyme, a little bit of allspice and cumin. So it is loaded with flavor and it is gonna bless this ogbono soup. So now, in this pot, I have my blended pepper and I have my locust beans with the broth. I'm gonna go ahead and put in my cow skin, the Mpomo, because it's cooked already, but I want it to come a little bit more tender, so I go ahead and I put it first. I cut it up to a nice size, not majorly bite size, but we have to be able to see it now. And the reason why I like to cook ogbono soup is because I have some wonderful kids that love to eat draw soup, okra soup, ogbono soup. Those children, they don't play with pounded yam at all. Pounded yam, eba, as long as the soup is drawing, they will eat that their fufu very well. They will eat the okili. I don't have any problem. So this is the Shaki. Let me put it in. And that's one way that I get them to eat the African dishes, because when they see that the soup is very yummy, it has a lot of obstacles, meat, fish, everything in it, and at the same time it is not too pepperish and it is flavorful, they eat their African dishes. I want my kids to have their culture, to know it at the back of their hands. So we're gonna let that steam together for about 3 to 5 minutes. Then I'm gonna add in the goat meat and we're gonna continue with this dish. So right now I have some water steaming at the back here. I'm gonna start making the semolina, because ogbono soup, to be honest, once all your meat is already cooked, it doesn't take so long to cook. Once I put in the ogbono, I just need to let it cook real good for about 20 minutes so that the ogbono can be done. We do not want to eat undone ogbono. And this is one thing, the more your ogbono cooks, the more it thickens together, and if you don't let it fully cook, you would not know that the ogbono is still gonna thicken up. So by the time you leave it, the next day you come back to it, it looks so chalky together. So but when you kind of like let it cook, it allows it to expand and for it to draw, so that way you can enjoy your ogbono cooked real good. Okay, at this point we're gonna go ahead and put in our goat meat. Now that I've added the goat meat, at this point I like to put in my dry bitter leaf. If it is not dry, I will put it in later, but because it's dry and it's already washed and clean, so at this point I go ahead and I put in the bitter leaf because I want it to cook in and get softer. So I go ahead and mix it in well, and it's gonna continue cooking. So now let's go ahead and season this sauce for the ogbono. This is salt, and I'm using 1 teaspoon. About 1 is okay for now. And I'm gonna use 2 teaspoons of Maggi. Please season to taste. If you like to put more or less, you can. So I'm gonna go ahead now and I'm gonna put in my ogbono. So this is the ogbono, you see? No more big lumps. It's all smoothed out. I'm gonna put in the ogbono in little batches and I'm gonna mix it in real good. That's the reason why I haven't put in my dry fish or my dry shrimp, because I do not want them to break up more than what I want. So right now, you see, I just mix it in and it's gonna blend in real good. I hope you all don't have my address, because I'm sure the doorbell is gonna start going up very soon. As you can see, it is very thick. We need some broth. So now we're gonna put in a little bit of water. Now this part is up to you. Put in the water to as thick or as thin as you want to see your ogbono, because after this point, once I mix it in properly, now I'm gonna put in my dry fish and shrimp. I'm gonna start letting it cook for about 20 minutes, and I'll come back and put in my vegetables, and voila, my ogbono is done. For me, this is still too thick, and I'm gonna put in that water, and I think I should be good. There is no lumps. It's all mixed well together. I'm gonna go ahead and put in my shrimps. And this is my crayfish powder. It is for flavor. Now it's time to put in our dry fish. We're gonna go ahead and mix it in. Now I'm gonna leave the heat on medium. I'm gonna cover up a little bit. I'm gonna leave a little bit of space. And this is not a soup you wanna walk away from. When you leave your ogbono cooking, you always wanna make sure that you're coming back to check. You do not want your ogbono to burn, because if you leave ogbono without stirring it from time to time, your ogbono is gonna burn. I got a clean pot here. So for my semolina that we're gonna be having with this soup, we're gonna put, I'm making, there are different ways you can make semolina, so I'm just gonna make it the easy way. I do not wanna make a lot. So I put my semolina there, and I'm gonna put in some water in this, and I'm gonna use my hand and mix it together into her paste. So not a thick paste at all, and I do not want it watery. I just want it smooth. There we go. I do not want any thickness sitting on the bottom, because it's not gonna have an opportunity to cook well. So if you see that, my hands are clean, guys. So I turn on the stove. I'm gonna let the stove get hot, and I'm gonna keep mixing until it all turns into a solid what? A solid semo. Okay, you see it's coming together. Lovely. It's really hard. So that gives us the opportunity to put some water and cook it some more. So you just want to make sure that at this point you scrape all the side of the pan down so that you have all of it together. And we're gonna put in a little bit of warm water, and I like to break it up. So I just want to make sure I scrape it down. So I'm just gonna put just a tad more. That's good. And I'll let that steam. Okay, it's still cooking. We're just making sure we're mixing to the bottom to make sure that nothing is thickened. And that is how I like my ogbono soup. I do not like my ogbono soup to be too thick, because even when it cooks more, it might still get just a little bit thicker. I'm gonna cover that back up and let it steam off for about 10 more minutes, while I'm gonna let my semolina steam for about 2-3 more minutes before I mix it together. We're just trying to smooth everything together, and at the same time I still don't want it to burn, because I'm using a non-stick pot. If it burns, all the burn is gonna come up and it's gonna go into it, and I would not like the way it looks. So my semolina is ready. You see that? It is lump free, and it looks creamy, and it is not so hard to the point that, you see that, it can still drop. So If you like yours harder, you don't have to put as much water. And if you like it softer, come on, add a little bit more water to it. Voila! Hey, look at that bubbling. Wow, this is wonderful. My children are gonna have a ball. My ogbono has actually cooked for 25 minutes. I went over the 20 minutes, and I added 2 more tablespoons of Maggi and 1 tablespoon of salt. And if you can see, I added more water because I do not want it thick. So I have my spinach. At this time I'm gonna add my spinach and the soup will be ready. So after we have the spinach, I'm just gonna let it sit on the stove for about 2 minutes, and my people, we are done. So we're just gonna mix it in well, and we're gonna let this steam for about 2 minutes, and it's all done. That is ogbono soup. And if you look at the soup very well, some people like to put in okra. I personally do not like to mix okra into my ogbono soup, but if that is your preference, you can always add that in. And at this point that I'm adding in the vegetable is the point whereby you want to add in the okra, because you do not want your okra to overcook. And some people usually just put okra because they're trying to give the soup some color and they're just trying to make it look more interesting, but this is way interesting enough. If you look in here, there is Mpomo, there is Shaki, there is dry fish, there is dry shrimp, there is goat meat. There's a whole lot of things working in this ogbono soup, and it is drawing perfectly well. It's time to heat, guys. Let me let it steam for a couple of minutes and I will show you what it looks like on the plate. The food is ready. So this is the ogbono soup. Look at all that obstacle dancing in this soup. This is what you call shake body. And we have semolina here to go with it. You can use pounded yam, gari, amala, lafu, oat fufu, plantain fufu, the list goes on. This soup gives us endless possibility. It even helps the kids to be able to eat their swallow easier, because this thing is just gonna slide down, and it has a lot of obstacles and it tastes good. So you can always take out the pepper, you can add more pepper, you can always switch it up to however you like. There are like I said earlier, there are different ways you can cook ogbono soup, but I like to cook it this way. It's easier for me. I can also, in the future, I might also treat it a different way. See, to be honest with you, some people could not wait for this soup to land. They are already eating. They are scraping the bowl. The soup is gone already. So, and there are some more people about to start pressing the doorbell. To start pressing the doorbell. So I beg, make I not talk too much. I want you to try the recipe. Tell me what you think about it, or however way you feel like you can switch it up or you can cook it. But this is authentic ogbono soup, no filter at all, from Tolu's kitchen. Please always remember to hold on to your faith. Love your family. They are the solid block or standing block that holds us down, and at the same time, never let go of your wonderful special friends. They hold a place in our hearts and they help us do what? Enjoy this life that we live in. Guys, please, have you subscribed yet? Like this video, share it with your friends, and always come back. Please click the notification bell and always come back for more wonderful videos from Tolu's kitchen. This is Tolu Cook. I love ya, and I'll see you in the next episode.